Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would chat with you guys about something, and we're going to see how this pans out. And this is always funny for me because a lot of times I make these informative videos 6 months before they come up, and I use them as fillers whenever I need to when I'm deloading, doing other stuff, or I'm really busy and I'm not going to have an ability to make videos. That's when I plug all these in, right? And so they tend to be 5, 6, 7 months old by the time they come up. Pretty normal. So I'll say things and then it's curious to see how that jives with what I'm currently doing with my own training or teaching later on. But it doesn't mean they're not good info. But something I wanted to chat with you guys a little bit about here is when it comes to getting overall balanced development, particularly as it applies to your lifts, what we need to keep in mind is that muscles do not fatigue at the same rate as we're doing more reps that they do on a 1 rep max. And for example, I'm going to discuss a couple different topics and combine these together here. I saw quite a good write-up sometime back by Greg Nuckols, of all people, on his Science and Strength blog, and he had pointed out that if you look at the bulk of the literature on rep work versus maxes on, say, the flat bench, that on a max we use a little more delt and tricep than what we would develop on higher rep work. In other words, the development's different too. If you're doing on flat bench, let's say you're doing a bunch of fives to build your hypertrophy, let's say you're doing a 5x5 instead of a 3x10, it actually ends up giving a little bit less chest development, poor total hypertrophy, and it tends to put slightly more focus on the delts and triceps. And when you start going above 8 reps, the pectorals seem to get more total effective quality reps in. You end up with slightly better pec development when we start going to higher reps on the benching. And as you guys will see in the background up here, this is me doing 10s on everything, on pause bench, pause incline. And he's made that note. So if anything, if we wanted to get the best pectoral development possible on a flat bench, we would probably want to do 8+ reps, right? Because it's going to give more total quality reps for the pecs. And again, it comes down to the way muscles get recruited and the way that they fatigue when we are doing slightly different rep ranges. And it's fascinating when you look at these, and it's just the way that we fatigue and the total number of quality reps involved. They're not always in direct proportion to our really heavy lifts. All right, so if that seems to be the case with the bench press, and we know that observing a lot of bodybuilders, you see actually a lot of powerlifters who are quite strong benchers who don't always have amazing pectoral development. But if they're doing mostly lower rep work, and of course they bench with a pretty big arch and stuff like that, right? We might expect to see that. Yet when you do see the guys who have the bigger pecs from benching, a lot of times they're doing a lot more rep work, right? So that some of the anecdote does seem to kind of coincide with the data that he's pointing to. Well, what does that mean for bench pressing? Well, we want big pecs to bench. I mean, big pecs are always a benefit when you are bench pressing. Always going to be a benefit when you're bench pressing. But if you're going to do the higher rep work, you're going to get a lot more potential chest development out of it. So what does that mean in terms of incline? What happens when we combine that with incline benching? Okay, incline gives you a lot more shoulder. Now, there's plenty of people out there and plenty of experts who point out that the incline itself will actually build a big chest. We could argue that the upper half of the chest gets more emphasis from the incline, and we've got EMG data to support that. We could look at biomechanics and support that. It's not an unreasonable statement. However, as volumes go up, it can still stimulate the lower chest too, right? But what do we see with the incline benching? We get more shoulder. In fact, the incline bench, as far as front delt exercises go, arguably could be better than the overhead press. Right? I'm not saying the overhead press doesn't have its use. In fact, overhead press can be a great supplemental lift for your incline. But you see where we're going with this? If the incline bench and incline work in general can tremendously build the front delts. What does that then mean for balancing our benching? Well, it works chest slightly differently. So we end up with more overall chest development from it if we combine it with the flat bench. Ends up bringing our front delts up. And the front delts, again, as we kind of noted, and shoulders in general, they get a little bit less work relative when we go to higher rep benching. We get more chest focus. If the hypothesis I've seen Greg promote is true. You know, and Greg's a pretty strong bencher. Guy's benched well over 400 pounds. So, what does that mean? Well, it could make up for some of the weak links in the benching. Okay. Now, we could make the strong case for, again, adding some tricep work on top of that wouldn't be a real bad idea. And I'm not even suggesting that people only just do flat bench and incline. I'm talking about as your foundation for your volume work, right? As a foundation for it. If you're doing higher rep benching, it actually does make some sense to put some incline in there. To again balance out the development, give you better overall chest development, make sure those delts are getting maximal development. And we can do variations of them. When I say bench and incline, I'm talking about we can rotate bars, we can put chains on them, we can do a lot of different stuff. Kind of comes to that next point too. How about doing some of them both with chains to get that extra tricep? Okay, rotating that in. Not a bad idea, because again, we note that triceps are used more on a max bench relative to the ratios of hypertrophy that they get stimulated from the higher rep work. So in other words, high rep benching by itself may not give you the best tricep development. Let me state that again. It won't give you the best tricep development. But on max benching, triceps are very important. It's like front delts are. So the point we come to is that this is one of the reasons that we would never just say, oh, just do this one exercise to build it up. No, we need to have balanced development. Okay? And balancing the development of those muscles with your rep work is going to carry over a lot better to your maxes. Now, I didn't make this video really to discuss the tricep aspects. That's kind of its own topic. But as far as the torso muscles, if you're going to do high rep benching, adding in high rep incline work will probably give you better overall development. Probably. And that development will probably help shore up weak links back and forth for your 1 rep maxes. You'll probably get a lot stronger for it. Right? Probably get a lot stronger for it. And it's not a bad way to go. It's not a bad way to go if you want to combine stuff together. And again, throw in some good tricep work on top of that, and you have the foundation to build a very, very strong bench press, using that as a starting point. Again, you need exercise variation. It's beneficial to you from a developmental and an injury prevention perspective. But it's just food for thought. And this is the way that we need to think when we're looking at, hey, what exercises do I need to combine together, to get the desired effect that I want to get bigger and stronger. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.